welcome back to video 3. I've already started. As you can tell, I got the mask on. I got kind of excited. I have already drilled out a few more holes, as you can tell, that were previously there. So these wings can be firmly secure. Now there's 2 bolts on each wing. And there's 2 bolts to hold this bottom plate on. I still need to put in between all of this or figure out where to put in between all of this an angle plate. But we're on our way to getting the front attached. I'm gonna trim a few more pieces. I'm gonna trim the rear a little bit. So basically in this video, goals are to get front and rear bumper attached and functioning, wheels, transmission, motor back in, and we could hopefully move on to the roller setup. I think I still have some more carbon work to do because I need to do some more bottom carbon work for the plates so I could hide the cap screws. Other than that, we're on our way. It's an open class build. It takes time, so here we are on video 3, and thank you all for tuning back in. For you who are new, welcome. For you who are old, welcome back too. But it's a journey, and these guys are keeping me company. All right, so we got some parts trimmed up much nicer. As you can tell, this is still all hand processed. I'm still not onto Proxen yet. But anyways, we got the front, and this is what we got so far. Like I said, I still need to put an angle plate in here, which will go in between this piece and this piece. But so far we have this all trimmed up to line up with those front 2 holes right here, 1, 2. Those 2 front holes are gonna line up like this, and it's gonna, it's gonna line up nicely. Oh man, so excited. And so the front is well fitted. The rear is also well fitted. And the holes line up all nicely. So now let's get them attached. All right, so instead of putting more work into the bumpers, I ended up putting a little bit more work into the chassis and pinning the rear plate right here and right here, because I didn't want to use screws. So I used just basically their screws, but I cut the heads off of them and they're glued in instead of just countersunk and whatnot. So I went about it doing it that way for the rear brake stay. Now that I got that settled, I feel like I don't gotta work on the chassis much anymore, and I can actually move on to putting the bumpers on. The main thing of putting the bumpers on is I need to make these holes a bit bigger, because we need to fit in there these little copper pieces, and this is what the AT system will be sliding on here and here. Will be these copper pieces, and then you do the same thing for the rear, because we're going to do a single spear, not dual AT. You just need to open up one of those holes that's in the center and put another one of these copper pieces for the back there, or you might need a 1.5 of those copper pieces, but you use these, or you can use plastic spacers and shave them down. There's a couple ways to do it, but I like using these copper pieces because I don't know, I just always went to using these. There's a lot of people who use plastic though, because it's a lot slipperier and it makes the systems work that much better. I just haven't got around to trying that out. So some grease, maybe a little bit of oil, and using the copper pieces works out perfectly for me. We're going to be getting to using those pieces and attaching the bumpers, and but before so we need to process the holes like I said. Let's get to it. Oh, and since I'm not going to be needing to work on the chassis anymore, since this rear end is finalized, this front plate is pretty much finalized, I don't think I'm going to be doing much more onto the chassis. I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to put the transmission back together and get it running, and then move on to the bumpers. And remember from my last video about the pink gears, I pressed them. I have 2 sets here. I was wondering which one was pressed and which one wasn't, so I just placed it on the axle and wiggled it about, and you can tell how this one has wiggle, and ooh, come on, there you go, and definitely this one does not. So these 2 are pressed and ready to go. Really nice little upgrade for the transmission, and you can do it pretty much. This is what it takes. You need 2 screws each side, axle, and if you go to my previous videos, I think I have just one video on especially this, talking about it. So yeah, and also you could do that to these yellow gears too. Any gear that has a hex, basically, you can do it too. Alright, so floating gear setup is nicely ready. Very happy. And we're back. So we still haven't got the bumpers actually attached. I know. But we got a motor cover for the back made, because when I did the glue on the back side of the chassis, I forgot that there's a little hole here for the motor cover that kind of like swoops in and it catches. But nevertheless, I was gonna make a motor like tie down for it anyways, so that turned out pretty nice. Happy with that. Transmission is running really nice on the car with the floating gear setup I did in the rear. The front is just a basic, you could say it's just a basic out of the box, but yes, the car is running very nice. All right, so don't mind the shininess. I've been working and so yeah, the car is running really well. Other than the rear having floating gear setup, the front doesn't. It's just out of the box, and so yeah, here we go. That's cool, you can see the gears right there. But super happy with how it's turning out so far. It's a work in progress, and we're getting there, we're really getting there. Back. We're now actually going to move on to putting these bumpers on. All the little tedious stuff is out of the way. Instead of using one of these copper pieces, the copper pipings for the rear, I'm going to be using one of those copper eyelets I was telling you about that came in the box stock kit from earlier for the rear bumper. One of these guys. And well, with that said, I already started milling out with some new tools, and I'm gonna prop you guys up a little better and do a time lapse, go about this, get the rear bumper on, get the front bumper on, and I really want to move on to getting these rollers mounted and having almost a full car. The thing is, we still need a body damper and a angle plate for the front bumper, so there's still lots to do. I'm just my OCD-ness is kicking in. Let's get her done though. So now with the hole widened and it is ready for the eyelet to be inserted, it falls in nicely. You don't need to even press it in, it just goes in real smooth. And then the back side still has that little bit of, you can see there's a little bit extra of copper hanging down that you're gonna put on. Yeah, where is that? Anyways, this one's kind of long, but you're gonna use a countersunk screw. Okay, whatever, or length, honestly, don't really matter. But you're gonna put the countersunk screw as so. You're gonna put a spacer on top of that bad boy now, and then find yourself a nut. Pause. And when you get that nut all the way down there, okay, it's taking a while. I should have found a shorter one, but this is kind of like spur of the moment. I want to explain. Make sure that piece that I was showing you earlier that was at the bottom is still at the bottom and it's not slipped up like that, because that piece you're gonna want to flare, and the only way it's gonna flare is if, well, all of it is at the bottom. So I like holding it with my fingers like this and grabbing your nut driver and slowly getting it to a point where it is holding itself in place, which it still isn't. But grab yourself a good old trusty screwdriver, and you gotta balance this along the way, because again, it's gonna want to slip that way. You gotta pull it towards you, pull it this way, and when you pull it that way, it's gonna allow the bottom, to flare, because obviously you're using a countersunk screw that has a flare on it. So with pressure, it's just mimicking the shape of the countersunk screw. And so it's being held in there with only pressure instead of super glue or anything. Right? And then what you can do to take this even further, so because there is a little bit of a, you can see there's still, oh, my finger went on the wrong side. There's still like a little bit of a copper that hangs down after the flare is activated. You can take some flathead screwdrivers, or you can take some pliers, flat screw. You can take some pliers, maybe ones that don't have ridges on them like this, but sadly I end up using these because I like the size. I have these Tamiya ones that don't have ridges on them at all, and I started using these and I noticed you go ahead of just on, not in the center, you can do it, I preferably do it one side then the other side, and then you go and you do the same thing here, one side and then the other side, and you kind of go do that going around thing, and it flattens out whatever the flare couldn't, and it gives you a little bit more of a surface, of a flatter surface. And if you still don't like it and you're still like you get annoyed of it kind of lifting on the bumper a bit, you could always still go back, take a file and file down the bottom of the flare just a little bit. I usually do, just so you could have a flatter surface, because this is where you're gonna, you know, it sits, it's gonna be resting. So usually I don't have any issue. Like this is not shaved down and it's flat, it's good. But with some cars, you never know, you might need to really take that, just that little bit away, which is stupid. Okay, but we're pretty much towards the end of getting this rear bumper attached, and we're going to be able to see how it actuates. It's cool. BRB. And it is attached. We got liftoff. Yo, it's so nice when a plan comes together. On the first try too, the movement of it is just enough. Very smooth. And this is dry. This is no grease, no oil. This is just, I slapped one of these fancy thick steel one, what's it called? Yeah, Allen bolt ones in here, with a copper spring and a spring cap and a black nut, and it's just like, yo, it's good to go. So happy. It is very beautiful and it's functional. That's the rear though. We still have a little bit more work to do for the rear. It has slight play, but that will be taken away with some other gimmick. I believe I'm gonna put a piece of carbon fiber here, or I might just put some, who knows, I'll find like a way to do limiters for that little bit of play, but even that little bit of play is not that bad. And so I can be happy with my OCD. I'm going to move on to the front, and we're not going to do, I believe, like we did, I don't think we're gonna do the eyelets like we did in the rear. I think we're actually gonna do the copper piping. So let's get her done and time lapse this baby. So since we got the front attached, it has proper lift. I even installed, I had this old piece cut already from way before, and I'm using it as a thrust angle. So it functions nicely, it goes forward, but because of the threads of the original screw, it doesn't like to actuate 100% properly. So what I plan on doing right now is I have these cap screws with a nice smooth. We're going to use these, but we need to make them into a cone. We need to make this head into a cone. So what I ended up doing is I'm gonna make them into a cone, but I need to do it by hand. We're gonna put it on the drill like I already did, and go about doing it with a file and my drill press. I'm obviously not gonna be drill pressing it, but I'm just gonna have it rotating there and gonna file it down. So it's the easiest way to go about it right now, and then we're gonna have a fully functional AT system for the front. But as of right now, this is what we got. I'm really stoked on how it's turning out. This rear is functioning great, and that's because I'm using one of these, and I still haven't even put grease or anything yet in it. So I'm very excited on how this project is going. Look at that. Super 2, the Super Snake. Moving on. Alright y'all, so I went back a step because I wasn't happy with how I did the AT system for the front bumper. So instead of just doing the springs and using these for the AT and no piping, like I was saying, I wasn't going to use the copper piping. Well, I decided to do the copper piping. And so I don't break the AT system plate because of how narrow this is. If you guys could see how thin it is. Yeah, I doubled it now. So it's 3mm for the AT plate. And even though it's going to be real thin, oh man, there you go. Even though it's going to be real thin, this side still needs to be hollowed out. This side is where it's going to be left for the copper piping to go through. And I'm going to super glue it even more. You can see I've already layered or done one layer. I'm going to do another couple layers. And the whole reason behind this is it's the proper way to go for the AT, and two, I just didn't like how I had it set up before. So gonna throw some more super glue in here, finish this up because I still need to wallow out this other hole for the other side, and we'll get the bumper on, do a few more things, come back and show you guys maybe some pics and update. Back today. It's Saturday, fresh, early in the morning, getting a little motivated with some racing. At the moment, my TV is on the fritz, so I'm using my iPad to get on the tubes and do some editing. But besides that, it's not a big deal. We have some parts lined up to put on the car today and get done so we could put out the video for tonight. So let me show you what we have to get done, and let's proceed. So since my OCD wouldn't leave me alone, especially because I am so close to getting the front end all together, other than the body damper, I got the rear or the front under plates cut, and I was like, I gotta see how some rollers are gonna look, and so here we are. It looks so mean. So aggressive. I'm excited. Very, very excited. It has a pretty aggressive thrust angle, but that's, I'm kind of building around the chassis and what. Look at that. You gotta like push back super hard for that fit. Oh man, I'm excited. This is gonna be a fast car. With the roller setup, I think I'm wanting to go with, then the body damper, everything is gonna end up being very fast. Now, is it gonna be very accurate? I'm hoping so. Gone quite far with this front bumper. Instead of doing countersunk screws, I did the cap screws, and I cut open the holes to just in the end like slide them in like that so they stay hidden. I might slim down the end of the cap screw just a bit to help out, but you can see why in the end I wanted to double the AT plate now, because look how thin that is. And so that's why I thickened it and put that one up top as well. But yeah, that design is looking fire. I love these 9mm rollers. Super cool. Alright, now let's tackle the rear end. So we got one last update for this video. I got pretty much everything together for the rear and the front roller setup and lower plates. Made this top plate, another top plate that is going to be holding the tail damper. Still haven't made that tail damper. This video is gonna extend into another one, so we're gonna be calling it a closing for today, well, for this video, and we're gonna continue on to another one for Tuesday. If not Tuesday, I'll get one out Wednesday because I'm pretty tired, and this video is going to take a little editing for me to do for it to be proper and you guys to enjoy it. Anyways, I'm very happy with how this is turning out and looking. It's very visually appealing, and overall it fits in this box amazingly. Yeah, it has a little bit of play front and back. Side to side there's really nothing, but it drops in there nicely. Yep. And body damper is made for the car. It's gluing. I'm doing a style that I've done before, but just a shorter version, and I'm gonna end up trimming this thick piece to be thinner, and so it could flow better with the car. But yeah, thank you all for staying with me so far in this build. I'm having a great time doing it. I might look frustrated, but I'm just tired. It's a lot of effort to put into this car. I didn't think I was gonna put so much effort into it, but once you start putting time into open class cars, it's almost like, why put in this time if you're not gonna really get the end product you want? And so with that said, thank you so much for your time and for tuning in. Remember, subscribing, commenting is free, and we really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So love you all. God bless. See you on the next video.